Welcome to our first hour of Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Testimony is going to resume any minute now in the medical assistant murder trial. Remember this case? Yeah, it's not over. Pro se defendant Quinton Nixon is accused of fatally shooting medical assistant and mother Toni Westover back in 2022. Now, he's decided to go before a judge rather than a jury to hear his case. That is his right. Nixon took the stand in his own defense last month, but before the cross-examination began, the trial was put on hold for a month. Yes, a month. October 9th was when this case was put on pause. So let's get you a refresher on the facts. I really feel like I need one too. Here's Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft.
I promise that my family will not stop until justice is served.
34-year-old Toni Westover was shot and killed on July 25th, 2022. She was the mother of a little girl. She was also a medical assistant.
She loved her daughter. She loved her family. She was a beautiful person inside and out.
According to investigators, Westover and her boyfriend went to an unknown person's home.
When they got there, she texted her friend between 1 and 1:30 and said something doesn't feel right, something feels off. And at 2 to 2:15, she was shot and killed.
A man who said he was inside the home called 911, but he was unclear about what happened.
Do you know who shot her?
No, I don't.
Early in the investigation, police were looking for several people who were in the home at the time of the shooting. Police put a warrant out for Quinton Nixon's arrest. About a month later, detectives got a tip about a home where he was hiding. After an hours-long standoff, police found Nixon in the attic and arrested him for Westover's murder. In his handwritten court filings, Nixon claims he did not purposely cause Westover's death and that he did not have a gun. He says there was a fight that he did not start. There were 2 guns at the scene, and he says he shot the gun because he was in fear for his life. Westover's family does not see it that way.
You took an innocent life, and I hope every night when you lay down and close your eyes, you see her beautiful face, and what you did to her haunts you for the rest of your life.
That was Kelly Craft reporting there for us. Before the trial was paused, Nixon took the stand in his own defense to give the court his side of the story. Let's take a listen back together at how he described the shooting that took place.
I'm fighting as bad as I basically could. Like I don't want to die. Like this dude, he straddled me. He got this gun in my head. So I'm like trying to jolt him off of me, if that makes sense. Like I'm flopping around like a fish on the ground, basically. And Adam comes from wherever he was standing. He's right here now, right here. My head is right here. As I'm getting up to raise up, Adam clocks me over the top of the head with the pistol. Like at least maybe 3 times. And on that first clock though, I instantly start bleeding. On the second one, I don't know if his finger was on the trigger when he did it. The gun went off and it went through. When that gun went off, Adam kind of stepped back, like this way, and I'm bleeding. Brian still got a hold of my wrist and the gun, and I ended up like getting it from him, kind of twisting his wrist. Now I'm like laying on my back now. I had a little bit of blood in my eyes from the pistol whipping. I hear, so now I'm laying on my back and I'm looking this way, and I hear—
Down the hallway?
Yeah, I'm looking this way, but I'm also still wrestling the gun kind of like, and I see a male come from here, and I got hit with a machete on my right side. I still got the mark. I don't know if she's seen me with the gun. I don't know if she's seen it. Like, I got it from him, but Brian kind of moved out the way and went into the kitchen in a quick motion. And as he's moving, she's moving in too. I don't know if she was trying to help him, but as she's reaching down, I let 2 shots off, but I'm on my way up. And I guess the 2 shots that I let off, they hit her here and she spent.
Whose story makes more sense to you, the defendant's story or the story of the state of Ohio? Let's bring in our guests now as we're getting ready for court to begin. Domestic violence expert, former law enforcement officer and podcast host Claudia King is here, and criminal defense attorney and former district attorney Matthew Mangino here as well. Good morning to you both. We're seeing some movement in the courtroom, getting ready for her honor to take the bench. It's been a while. You wonder if these attorneys were up late last night in the prosecutor's office, kind of refreshing their memories where they left off here. Whose side? There's a live look, courtesy of one of our Court TV cameras fixated on the seal there in the Buckeye State. Akron, Ohio is where this one is taking place. Let's talk about the stories and the believability for Quinton Nixon or the state. Claudia, what are your thoughts, please?
I can't even believe that I'm going to say this, Julie, but his story could be true, because you have this apartment full of people high, you know, on whatever kind of drugs that they've got. And so it's really hard to say what happened, who got nervous because they saw a gun, who freaked out, did people attack him? I don't know. And that's really crazy, because I can't believe, like I said, that I'm even saying that. He could be telling the truth, and that's just insane.
Sure, and appreciate your honesty, Claudia. And I have to tell you, I was very honest about this several weeks ago when I saw him begin his case, and I thought to myself, he's probably the best pro se defendant I've ever seen. And I'm still not saying that's an endorsement, go be a pro se defendant. No, I think it's a terrible idea. Nobody should do it. But he really wasn't half bad. So that's that. Matt Mangino, I want to get your thoughts here on his story, how believable the judge may find it to be.
Well, that's going to be interesting, Julie, because, you know, I think maybe his first mistake in this case was asking for a bench trial, a jury trial, because I think he might have, done done more to convince jurors who are unaccustomed to, what's going on in a courtroom necessarily, and the different stories the judges hear. You know, a lot of times judges are no nonsense, and they cut through a lot of what we hear to try to get to the root of the issue, and they do. They see countless defendants, and they have a knack, for making determinations about credibility and believability. So, his first mistake in this case might have been asking to go in front of a judge only.
Right, Matt, I love that point. I love it. I think you're so right, because I think with a jury, he's got a better chance. We hear the expression in courthouses all the time. We hear the expression about, if I shouldn't, I didn't come up with this expression, but I'm just going to say it for anybody who may be wondering. There's an expression about, if you're innocent, you're going to go judge. Because the judge is sure to be smart and, as Matt said, get to the truth and make sure that the decision is right. Where with a jury, it's more of a gamble. And so I love that point. He probably should have gone jury on this one. How about the fact that he had a great criminal defense attorney? I mean, it doesn't get much better than Don Malarsic, right? He's in Akron, Ohio. Everybody knows Don. He's high profile. I mean, he goes all over trying cases. And I don't know why this relationship ended, but apparently this guy thought he could, I don't know, just wanted to represent himself, I suppose. Claudia, what do you think about the decision to go judge here? and be pro se? Because I really like what Matt is saying. You know, it may be more effective before 12 people.
So I totally agree. I think that a jury of his peers might have been able to, you know, hear him out more and understand what he's saying if they have ever been on drugs or if they have ever been in a fight. You know, they might be a little more understanding of him, also of the procedural issues that maybe he's done because he isn't an attorney. They would be more forgiving of those things as well. Why he decided to go pro se, I don't know. All I can figure is it was very Sarah Boone-esque, is that the attorney and he did not agree on strategy, and he felt like, if this is my life, I'm gonna do it on my own, and I only have myself to blame.
Right. Yeah, I like that Sarah Boone reference there, Claudia. Here's what we're gonna do. We're getting ready for Her Honor to take the bench. Let's hit our break now so we don't miss the start of this, because apparently the cross still needs to happen. So wonder how that's gonna go. We'll talk about it when Court TV Live continues. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday morning.
Tonight on Court TV.
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments. We have a big hour ahead here.
Your deplorable actions are unforgivable.
The community still doesn't know how this Boston police officer died.
He can't prove one element of his case.
It was a dramatic day, a dramatic moment inside the courtroom.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan. Tonight at 8/7 Central. Only on Court TV.
She's reaching down for the gun, and I let 2 shots off, boom, boom, and it turns her that way, but I'm getting up at the same time. Quickly, and then that's when I shot, and it went downward.
After nearly a month-long delay, testimony is set to pick back up in the medical assistant murder trial in Akron, Ohio. More evidence in the case against pro se defendant Quinton Nixon expected to be presented. Now, he's accused of murdering mom and medical assistant Tony Westover, and he's decided to have his case heard by a judge rather than by a jury. I want to show you a live look at Her Honor's courtroom. Things have not begun yet, so we're waiting for the judge to take the bench right now. When we get back in, we understand there's going to be more cross-examination to come of this pro se defendant. He got up there, he testified in his own defense in narrative form, and the prosecution, we understand, is going to have some questions for him. So when things get underway, we will go there together live. In the meantime, I want to give you a look at the defendant's police interview where he's describing the shooting. So you're going to see a very different Quinton Nixon than what we saw in the last clip we played. The last clip at trial, he is articulate, he is detailed, he looks really like he could be a lawyer. I mean, he really does. The way he's going through everything, it's very methodical. In this clip, oh, he's itching and scratching, and he's got his shoes off. He is a mess right after he was arrested. So look at the contrast in him then versus now. Now remember, the judge gets to see all of this, so she isn't just influenced by the smart, articulate man who's in the courtroom today, here and now. She looks back at this video too.
It seems like everybody was trying to get that gun out of your hand, and you panicked.
Who's everybody?
You said Brian, Adam, and the girl.
They didn't start trying to do that until after I shot.
Okay. So they didn't try to get the gun from you until after you shot.
It was weird.
No, it makes sense. Because if someone had a gun and then they shot, that would normally be when someone would try to wrestle a gun away from someone.
He had Adam right here with his gun trained on him.
Yeah.
Then he moved over there and grabbed some printer and started printing out. I was wrong. I was in fear for my life. I was wrong.
Were you using drugs that day?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that's something that made you feel different?
No, sir.
What kind of drugs?
Meth.
They all were using meth even she was.
Okay. You ever used it before?
Once or twice.
What made you shoot her instead of them?
Brian.
What do you mean?
He took me to the kitchen and told me she was the police.
So you thought she was the police?
And then he looked at me and said, you got the same thing she got on her phone.
Yeah.
It was basically...
You truly thought she was the police, or obviously?
No, I don't know what I thought. I thought that they thought both of us was the police.
Gotcha. And you shot her because you thought she was the police?
Because it made it seem like if I didn't shoot her, they would kill me.
Did you argue with her?
About what?
About being the police. Did you say something about it?
I said, I'm not the police. I'm not the police.
About her. Did you ask her or argue with her about her being the police?
No. No.
Okay. All we're doing is comparing what you heard and thought with everybody else and what they said and what they heard and thought. What they've seen you do, what they heard you do, what they watched you do, versus what, we're trying to get you to
So I talked to Brian.
What's that?
I talked to Brian and Adam already.
Yes. And Angel.
Are they
and the girl that was in the back room and that weird dude that had the hammer?
In the Mercedes.
Talk to him. Because him and Angel were in that back room hammering on the wall, hanging up these lights that she bought. You've seen the lights, right? When she came home after they went to Sheets?
Lights? No, they started unrolling plastic.
There were lights, plastic strings and lights. They were hanging them up on the wall.
They plastic, but they got out of a box. There was no lights.
Okay. Like I said, that's why we're asking what you thought and what you feel. Because we processed the whole house. We had our crime scene unit in the whole house. And, you're able to extract video, DNA, all that mess, interview everybody that was there. And you were our last key. You're the last person we needed to interview.
So I'm the one that's in jail.
Well, then you're the one that shot her.
Because I was in fear for my life. I didn't even have a gun. They brought guns to this situation.
Yeah, this is the mess. Everybody's getting high. There are firearms present. And it sounds like he might have thought that Tony Westover was either an undercover officer or maybe an informant, something. It sounds like he might have gotten suspicious of that, and then everything just erupted. And one of the biggest problems I think he's going to have is that he fled. Let's talk about this with our guests, attorney Matt Mangino and former law enforcement officer Claudia King on the program this morning. Matt, what do you think about that? Had he not fled, would his problems be lessened in this court of law?
Well, fleeing certainly complicated his situation. I mean, flight is, an indication of guilt. I mean, that can be, a very important issue in a trial, such as this. People who, accidentally get caught up into something, who are not guilty, they don't flee. They don't flee for 30 days. They don't hide in an attic. I think we see him here scratching himself. It's because where they found him, hiding out. So people who flee, we can make that assumption that they're guilty because they fled, and that's an important aspect of any case that a prosecutor presents.
Right, most definitely, Matt. Claudia, what do you think about that? You see him here with a detective and a very different Quinton Nixon, isn't he, than the one we're seeing in the courtroom now?
I mean, this is a whole different individual, and this is the reason that attorneys tell you not to talk to the police. Even as a former police officer, I will tell you, do not talk to the police. Get your attorney there, because he's rambling a little bit. I mean, he does at least get out that he was in fear for his life. He was honest about doing drugs, but he's just giving them more information that he should not be giving them. So it's very interesting that he's so different now. And again, I think he would have done better with a jury. I think they could have looked at him today and how articulate he is, as you said, and maybe seen a different picture, perhaps.
Right, right. And you know what else, too? It just dawned on me. So the judge is seeing him in his orange jumpsuit, right? Because the judge knows he's incarcerated. So different set of facts. Let's say he is before the jury. Matt, like you were saying earlier, like he probably should have gone jury on this one, maybe would have a better shot. He would probably be in a suit or something and, you know, looking, you know, more like an attorney. And he certainly is sounding lawyer-like. I'm impressed with him as a pro se defendant. I really am. Matt, what do you think about those optics as well?
Well, yeah, those are important. You know, we know that in most jurisdictions across the country, a defendant who's on trial in front of a jury will not be wearing a prison jumpsuit, will not be wearing prison garb, will be in street clothes. And, you know, when we look at him, you know, even physically, he looks different than he did during that interview with police. And his demeanor is completely different. But the other thing that we have to think about with the jury is we wouldn't know at this point really how articulate he was. He's testifying now, so certainly jurors would have an opportunity to see that. But, you know, we wouldn't have had this issue where he's kind of been impressive in his examination of witnesses and things like that, because that wouldn't have happened if he had an attorney. The only opportunity the jury would have been able to hear him speak is when he was under direct and now cross-examination. And the other thing is, we wouldn't have had this month delay if we had a jury either. I think you have to make these decisions on the run for a judge. You can't sit back and say, well, let me take a look at the law because of these unexpected evidentiary issues. That doesn't happen at trial. This case would have been over by now.
Yeah, really good point. Matt and Claudia, thank you so much. Stand by, please. We're going to hit our break. We'll be right back live after this.